Hello everyone and welcome back to Chart Power. Today I wanted to talk about the relative strength differences between Bitcoin and the rest of the market. Okay, as you can see on this chart that I have on my screen, this is the current place that we're at after the big drop, the steep drop we took from the peaks. The top chart is just Bitcoin alone, and the bottom chart is everything else, not including Bitcoin, all the other alts. So if we take a look at that, well, what happened was we came down here from the steep drop off and then retraced back up, and same in the other markets. And as you can see, well, they both kind of hit a point and then dropped off. But when Bitcoin took another bounce, that bounce didn't make it as high as the previous bounce, whereas all the other coins did make it as high as the previous price level. All right, but what happened after that? I like to use the Chainlink chart to demonstrate this. It's a chart I've been referring to a lot because I think it shows this dynamic really clearly. Again, coming off of the big drop, bouncing back up, retracing up to this trend line, down again, and when it came up, it hit this wall. All upward momentum pretty much stopped in that exact spot and could not get any farther. And then, as you could see, Chainlink has done nothing but go basically straight down since then. So if we look at all of the alts combined, it's kind of a similar thing, not quite as weak when they're all combined, but it had the same drop off after that point and very steep drop, whereas Bitcoin, on the other hand, had a bounce and reached the higher level. And that is really where the momentum shifted. Going back to the Chainlink chart here, this is where the momentum in the market really shifted. Before that, the alts were doing great relative to Bitcoin, and in general, they were showing strength. I mean, of course, the markets all in general came down, but they came down, side by side. Everything was coming down. So when we reached this consolidation area here, this is where everything changed. Okay, so let's take a couple of measurements here. So from its most recent peak here, Bitcoin currently has fallen. I'm going to go to right to where the price is at right now. So from the most recent peak, Bitcoin has fallen 22.8%. Let's see how the rest of the market has fared since its recent peak, which is going to be right here. It already started out much lower, much weaker than Bitcoin. So we'll measure from this peak to where it's at right now, 28%. But if we measure from the top of the consolidation pattern, well, we still get the same price for the same percentage drop for Bitcoin. But if we measure from the top of the consolidation pattern for the alts, let's see how much they have fallen off since that momentum shift. That is 34%. So in this area, since that momentum shift, all the other coins, not including Bitcoin, all the altcoins have dropped 34%, while Bitcoin is down 22%. So clearly that shows that in this area right now, Bitcoin is certainly showing more strength, despite like the fact that it's down this day or up that day or whatever. In this area, since the momentum shift, Bitcoin is holding stronger. Okay, let's look at the total market, all coins combined together. So this is the alts and Bitcoin all in one chart. And as you can see here, money is flowing out of these markets, steadily flowing out of these markets, lower and lower and lower and lower. And yet Bitcoin hasn't dropped out of its consolidation area as much as the altcoin. So that clearly demonstrates that even though there is much less money currently in the market than there was a little while ago, where did it come from? Well, it came out of the alts, and that's certainly reflected in a lot of those alt prices. They're getting really hammered. But the market's not all falling together as it was in most of this area. So I really think that change demonstrates something. And I'll tell you what I think that means in a second here. So first of all, I just wanted to talk about what other people are saying. I mean, you can find any opinion that you want. So let's talk about some other opinions. So some people are saying, well, that's the end of crypto, and it hit its peak, and it's going to go down like that. And I mean, frankly, that's something that is a possibility, right? And there are people who are saying that it's just this is the bottom. You could find probably 100 thumbnails on YouTube that say, we've hit the bottom. The bottom is in. That was the bottom. Of course, they were saying this back here too, so I don't know how much you want to listen to that. But let's see what it would look like if this really was a bottom. It would look something like this, right? And that's something that, I mean, maybe is possible. It's certainly possible, but I give it a lower probability than going farther down, or what I'm about to show you, which is what I think is going to happen. And the reason I think is going to happen is because of the decoupling of the Bitcoin and the alts. I think that the alts are going to continue to be very weak. And I think that, well, first of all, just looking at this total market chart here, so it broke below this $1.5 trillion line, which I have talked about quite a bit on this channel. I think that, well, clearly it's been a very important line because the market has been bouncing above that. And then once it broke below that very distinctly, that's when I turned short-term bearish on the market. So if you ask me, having built this incredible area here of support or resistance, it's gonna be, it's not, I don't think, it's certainly possible that this is just a short-term juke and manipulation in the market, always a possibility. But if you want to talk about probability, it's gonna be harder to get back above that and might take some time before it finally, hits some sort of stability. And it might not even be in this area. It might head lower before it hits stability and then works its way up. But either way, I think not only will it be somewhat difficult to get back above the $1.5 trillion line, I also think that the Bitcoin and price movements and relative strength separating from the alts shows a different scenario, which to me, currently with what I'm looking at right now, let me just grab my other tool here. And this is, so I'm back to the Bitcoin chart here. And what I would imagine is we're going to have some sort of sideways movement, and it might push the levels here or there for a little while. And it's hard to say how long that will go on. So while Bitcoin is doing that, it's not too hard to imagine that with all of this weakness in the alts, that the alts in general, not all of them, but the market altogether, can continue to show some weakness while Bitcoin goes sideways for a while and holds on to most of that money, as it's doing right now, in the market. The alts are the coins giving up the money, while Bitcoin generally is holding its level, but the total market's going down. It's the alts giving it up. So I think they will continue to give it up until, not just until the market turns around, but I expect continued weakness in the alts until Bitcoin finds its footing and finally continues to head higher. And only at that point do I expect that dynamic and that momentum shift that we saw between the coins to change and for the alts to start catching up. And just like that momentum shift that I pointed out in Link, this point right here that I just drew for you, big time indicator of a momentum shift. I'm going to keep my eyes out for future momentum shifts like that in the opposite direction, meaning looking for the altcoins to start gaining strength again against Bitcoin. That will be a great sign. That's what I'm going to be looking for. And until then, we're going to see the continued weakness and maybe sideways trending on Bitcoin. That's what I see with these indicators that I'm looking at right now. And that's all I have for you today. So thanks for joining me. And if you found this information useful, please give me a thumbs up. And if you want to catch future videos, please consider subscribing to this channel. Thanks for joining me today, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.